Hello and welcome to Understanding My Community at Brewster USD 314. So some background on Brewster. It's a rural farming community in Thomas County, Kansas. That's in the northwest part of the state. It was established in 1888. They put in their first post office then, and that post office is still in operation today. Brewster makes up about a quarter square mile, 6 blocks by 7 blocks. And most of the roads are paved, but we still do have some dirt roads in town. We have a single school building that serves all pre-K through 12th grade students. This past year, we had 127 K through 12 students, 90% of them being white, 10% Hispanic. An interesting fact about the school is when the town was established, it took them less than 2 months to build a school. And then they started classes there that following January in 1889. So education was an important factor for them from the start. With government, we do have a city superintendent that handles most of our business. Otherwise, we rely on our county offices, and those are located in our neighboring town of Colby, Kansas. Crime is very low in Brewster, being a small community. The biggest amount of crime we see is with property damage and vandalism. It's about 17%, and that is less than half of the national average. So it's a pretty safe community. As far as customs and traditions go, Brewster's made up of a lot of older established families, so traditions are very important to them. We do have a small grocery store that is community run. But otherwise, shopping has to take place in neighboring towns, which are 20 to 30 minutes away. We have a Veterans Day program or parade that's put on every year, and the entire community attends that. And we just celebrate the veterans of our community. We have a lot of Korean War veterans, and we put that on every year with everybody involved. We also have other things like Santa comes and visits during our Christmas program every year, and that's a community member that does that. And then our community has a lot of fundraising opportunities to help out businesses and local families, and a big one being their annual fish fry to support the grocery store and keep it running. The community also puts on a back to school watermelon feed, and this is where they invite the fall sports, football and volleyball, and they introduce the coaches and the players during that time. They also introduce any new staff to our school. And then the community just really is very supportive of our local athletics and activities. You'll always see community members, working the gate at events or helping out with some other part of it. And then a cool little thing about Brewster is we have this place called Graffiti Bridge. It's south of town, actually under I-70. And it's just a concrete underpass where people have gone down and they just put their mark with graffiti all over that bridge, and you can go there and visit. We usually recommend that or mention it when you come to town. As far as population goes, there's been an increase. We currently have 327 residents in Brewster. 79% of them are married. 95% graduated high school. About 22% having a bachelor's degree or higher. I believe that's just due to it being an agriculture community. So a lot of students, a lot of people that graduate high school, they tend to go straight into the agriculture field without any college degree needed. The median age is about 30 and a half years old, with the majority of our population being between 18 and 64 years of age. Our male to female ratio is pretty evenly split, although recently we've had a lot of babies born and they've all seemed to be female. Even with my daycare, which is in Brewster, out of the 12 daycare children that go there, only one of them is boy. Our race in town is pretty comparable to the race within the school. As far as occupation goes, a lot of our residents have to find work or employment outside of the community because it's just limited if you're not part of the agriculture field or with one of the local businesses. you have to search elsewhere. But the nice thing is that the people that move to Brewster want to stay. 91% stay more than a year or two and establish themselves in Brewster. With language, 92% of households speak English predominantly at home. But among the children under 18, only 55% do English. The rest do Spanish. So they will speak Spanish at younger ages, but as they get older, they kind of acclimate and speak English regularly. With communication, we do have a local cable and phone company that handles a lot of our communication. S&T, they have their district office actually located in Brewster. We do have a historic library in town, which is available for use. And then we use the county newspaper, the local TV, and a lot of our organizations in town use social media like Facebook to post events and notices. So that is used a lot. And then we do have a radio station just outside of town that does praise and gospel music. So within our community, we have 4 local churches. The biggest church being the Brewster Community Church. It's a non-denominational church, and that is what the majority of our residents identify with. So it has a large population to it. We also have quite a few families that are Catholic, but we don't have a Catholic church in town. So those families actually have to go to surrounding areas to attend services. About 80% identify with conservative values, and I just think that's because it's an established older community. We do have some groups in town that are very involved in the school and are very involved in the community through fundraising and things. The number one being the Lions Club, made up of a lot of the older gentlemen, parents, husbands in town. We have the Beta Club, which is kind of the female version of that. And then we have the local senior center where seniors can just go and socialize in the morning and enjoy that time. Because we're an agriculture community, 4-H is a huge part. We have a very active chapter in our community, and it actually does attract members from the surrounding areas as well. And then Brewster Grocery Store, I just consider a community group because it is a community-run grocery store. With leadership, our city superintendent does most of the business and decision making, but we also have a mayor in town. I put Mayor Lionheart from Zootopia on here because that's actually what our mayor reminds me of. He's just a bigger guy, but very kind-hearted. And so we do have a mayor, and they have their monthly meetings. And then our school district is really part of the leadership in town. And we have a single person that serves as a superintendent principal, and then we have our board of education made up of community members. As far as our characteristics go, I feel like all of the leaders of our community are very reputable, respected, well-established members. They're local business owners, like our mayor. He has the local Helena business in town. They are just it's very important that they keep people informed and involved. And I feel like there's a lot of group decisions that take place. I don't feel like one person stands out as the main leader. I feel like it's a community group. Economically, most of our economics, our income comes from agriculture, being that it is a farming community. We also have the teaching with the school being in town, but a lot of our teachers actually live outside of the Brewster community. We do see a lot of stable employment with the residents of Brewster. There's very little unemployment, and only 6% live below the poverty line. And then as far as homes go, it's really hard to find a home in Brewster. I think that's why a lot of teachers live outside of the town anyways, because unless someone does pass away or by chance move for a job relocation, there's just no homes in town. So these new families that come to town a lot of times have to build their own home. We do see the property value is a little higher for the size of town that it is, and I think that's just because our county has one of the higher property taxes in the state, and that's due to that reason. But our grain elevators, our co-op, and our feedlot north of town, they all provide a good source of income to our community. Politically, I see politics present in our community, just being a small knit community, but it's not dominant. Our community does provide a lot of the funding to our school through donations from businesses or individuals. We also have grants, and then we were recently given a scholarship that provides a lot of support to students going off to college. I would just say overall, our community is very proud to be part of the United States. They fly their flags in their yards. They exhibit a lot of pride. If you go through our town, that is what you will see. As far as social tensions go, there just really isn't a whole lot, other than the cliques in town. And with those, I would consider the generational versus the implants, those who have been in the community versus the newbies in town. That's probably where the biggest tension comes from. But it's still very limited, and I think part of that also is due to the fact that we're not very diverse or racially diverse. But we do have those co-op coffee drinkers and social media agitators, as I like to call them, and they try to get things stirred up, but it never really gets far. We are a very attached community. As far as extra sources of income, most of our community can receive information about the school and area events through our school website. That's where we list our board meeting minutes and any contacts that they need with the school. We have the area telephone book for all the small communities around our area. A lot of our groups in town use Facebook pages, so that gives a lot of information. And then our town does put up this bulletin board, just this little podium thing right in the middle of town, and that's where they attach upcoming events. So we have like a community-wide cleanup day or the annual fish fry. They'll put it on a sign right in the middle of town, actually right in the center of the road, and people can drive by and read it and hear about the business. And then because we have churches in town, they also have their prayer bulletins as well that serve for information. With the power in Brewster, I feel like the Board of Education members do have some power to the town, not just the school. They do serve school interests, but they also serve their family interests because they're so connected to the community. We do have a sports co-op with another district, and that's just for our fall and winter sports. That's so we can have more students participate in those events and actually have teams, because there for a while we were struggling to have enough students. There are good and bad sides to that. It's really hard when you're 20 minutes away from each other. It's kind of a struggle sometimes to get those students involved. We do have the older community members who try to, help make decisions in town, and they're just mainly do that because they want to keep the Brewster traditions alive. And then our business owners, our school members do attend any local events put on by the local businesses. With multicultural issues, because we're not very diverse, there's not a lot. One thing I do see though is that we don't really acknowledge those multifamily households, especially in the Hispanic groups. So we see a lot of absences with those students because they have to stay home and take care of their younger siblings. And I just don't think we account or acknowledge that. And we need to work on that more. Within the school, one thing I wish they do more is they don't offer the non-meat meals during Lent, because we have a large Catholic population. I think that's important. But we do make exceptions for dress code based on people's religious preference or health issues. And we try to get foreign exchange students when we can. And then with public opinion, we do surveys. We do really good face-to-face being a small community, but we need to do more. Right. Thank you for my presentation.